Hey everybody, give me 1 second here. We're going live on a couple different streams here. So looks like, okay, we are live on YouTube and both on the Facebook page and my personal page. So I wanted to say hello to everybody. This is the Ask Coach event. Sorry, I'm a little bit late. We're having some technical difficulties. As you can see, I'm not in my normal surroundings. I am in on vacation for a day or two. Actually, I was down in Atlanta doing a speaking engagement and decided to take a couple of days off and go and hang out in places more tropical, undisclosed location. I never get to do this. I never get to do that for myself. So anyway, so today I am broadcasting from parts unknown, but I wanted to talk to you about the Ask Coach series. I still wanted to do this today because it's so important to me, and I got some really good questions. We're going to get right into it with Steve and Veronica from St. Louis had sent in some questions. They are members on the member site, and I'm going to tell you that really fast. If you are interested, we'll just do that here in the beginning, so I don't forget to do it at the end. Go to landlordcoach.com/member benefits. And it's all one word at landlordcoach.com/member benefits. And that you can, and when you are a member, you get to ask questions like this, like Steve and Veronica are. So let's get into it. So one of the questions that they have is specifically how do you work with a real estate attorney? What's a good way to find a real estate attorney? So they mixed in a bunch of story. I didn't want to read the whole thing because it is kind of personal to their situation, but basically, what's the best way to find an attorney to work with? So that's a really good question because it's not as easy as it may sound, like where you just get on the internet or, the old days where you just get on the YouTube and find an attorney, which is the best, what are you looking for? What's the best way to go about that? So let me answer. So Steve and Veronica, really, really good question. And this is one that I can't tell you how important it is to have a good, solid real estate attorney in your corner, because that is really going to help with a lot of things that come up, because there's, it's not just about filing evictions and doing collections and things like that, but also making sure that they really need to be good about being up to date in contract law, right? So lots of different things relating around that. And that's all real estate is, really, right? It's all based on contract law. So when you're looking for an attorney, it doesn't necessarily need to be a real estate attorney, but I would highly recommend it is somebody that stays up to date in real estate affairs. And the reason why that's important is because there are so many laws that come on the books every single year. Here in Indiana, July 1st is when the new laws all roll out, but that doesn't mean that local ordinances and things like that don't get passed along the way. So my first and foremost thing would be, if you have an attorney in a particular area, it needs to be where you are investing your properties. So if you're investing in properties 2 towns over and it happens to be in a different county, I would highly recommend that you have an attorney that is in that specific county, only because that county may be a city center that has specific ordinances, and ignorance of the law is not going to protect you. So you really have to make sure that and have somebody that is in that specific market that understands specifically how that particular eviction court is run or whatever, especially as it relates to different judges. Different judges are going to run their courts differently. It's just the way it is. So you may have a judge that ran their court a certain way for 20 plus years, and they decide to retire or they lose their next election or whatever it is. And now you have a new judge that is going to run things completely differently. They may not allow you to charge late fees in a certain way. They may only allow you to charge or how they dictate what dictates possession of a property, right? These are all things that you really need to make sure of, that you have the attorney that is in your corner that understands specifically how the laws are going to be enforced. So that's a big deal. Okay, so that's one thing. The next thing is, how do they specifically work with the through the whole process? So let's go back to the evictions thing for just a second. There are a lot of attorneys that do not do collections outside of just maybe doing the eviction. So you can get them to file for an eviction, for example, but they may not be equipped or really be interested in doing the collections. Some attorneys only do collections. And it would be really handy if you could have the same person that is doing the collection, doing the eviction, that also does the collection. Because they are going to know specifically in court to ask specific questions that are going to help with the collections process down the road. And that's just, to me, it just makes more sense. So if you have, it doesn't necessarily need to be that attorney, but if they're representing a firm, a larger firm, which can get a little bit salty in price, so I don't know that that would be the best fit. But if they're going to do you well on price, just see if they've got the same people that are, the same firm can still do the collections for you at the end, right? That just makes sense. So you want to make sure that you're beginning with the end in mind when you're getting ready to start doing work with this particular attorney. So the other thing that I have for you is how to specifically work with an attorney to get the most value from them. And here's the fundamental thing. And this runs for your attorney, your CPA. I mean, hell, it runs for your doctor. It runs for coaches and consultants, because I get hit up for this stuff all the time, is don't expect free advice. You have to respect them for the amount of time that they put in, for the work that they've put in, and really what they do. I mean, their job is to make sure they're staying current on local laws and state laws and things that are coming down the pipeline. You know, for you to continually call them and wanting free advice, or, hey, can you look over this contract for me? You know, they got to buy bread too, and they put in an awful lot of time. You need to respect them as professionals. So what I have always done, and I've always gotten in the habit of saying this, is specifically, if you are, you know, calling your attorney and, you know, of course you exchange pleasantries, or maybe you shoot them an email, you know, and say, hey, I've got a question about this. I always give them permission to charge. I always say, that way they don't feel weird about it. I mean, they don't necessarily need my permission, but I'd say, hey, I've got a question. I just need to know, you know, if this is going to, you know, if this is going to take 15 or 20 minutes, or if you have to do some research, let me know. I'm happy to pay for it. But that sets the tone for a much more professional environment. And you're not, I mean, they're just going to treat you better on the bill. They really will. And I can tell you that your attorney is really going to appreciate that as well. So don't just call up and launch into it. They may not even be in a frame of mind where they can answer your question. Something that I definitely recommend is, if you're going to ask your attorney something that's maybe a long question, frame it in advance with an email and say, hey, here's the question that I have. Let me give you some basis in terms of what I'm going to ask you. And this is what's going on. So let's have a phone conversation, because it's probably a lot faster than typing out an email. But let's have a phone conversation, but here's the context in which I'm approaching you. And that is the best way to make sure that you're getting the most amount of value from your attorney, and it's not going to cost you a bunch of money. Or it's not going to cost you excess money. We'll just say that. But they should be charging you, and you should be okay with paying it. They're professionals. They need to buy bread. And don't just feel just because you're giving them collection accounts or they've done enough work for you, they'll be fair with you if you're fair with them. All right. So that's all I have for today. I am going to go back to kind of vacation mode, just taking some time off. And a few of you have been asking about the Landlord News Network program. Yes, that is coming out. I've got another installment coming out probably in the next couple of days. I'm having a lot of fun with that, and I'm glad that you guys are too. So one final plug. I've got a couple of events coming up. If you'd like more information, please reach out to me. You're welcome to hit me up on Messenger. I've got an event coming up in June 1st and 2nd in Atlanta. So if you're out there in Atlanta and you'd like more information on that, please reach out and I will tell you more about that. I don't want to waste your time, your valuable time with that right now if you're not interested. But I've also got one coming up on July 13th and 14th in Indianapolis. And it'll be a 2-day event. And it's going to cover very granular, the VIP system that it was taught in the Time Wealthy Investor, but we're going to get very granular and get real purposeful in helping develop your vision and infrastructure and process for your real estate business. One final thing is, if you are interested in becoming a member, one more time, hit landlordcoach.com/member benefits, and it'll tell you all the benefits. And there's some other cool things in there that are not listed. But if you're interested in that too, you feel free to hit me up if you got any questions. All right. You guys have a great rest of your day. Remember, if you're not placing a value on your free time, someone else is. And remember, there is no amount of money that will make time irrelevant. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend. We'll see you again real soon. Take care.